How's it going, everyone? It is seeming more and more likely that there, in fact, will be a PlayStation showcase later this month, as something outlined directly by Sony on their official website. We'll talk about that. PlayStation 5 Shipments number gets a bit of an update, and a live service title coming from PlayStation is seemingly going to be launching this year. It's a game that I thought had quite possibly the worst reveal trailer for a new IP of all time. I don't even think that is hyperbole. It was legitimately an abomination of a trailer, and I don't know who was thinking what when that got greenlit, but we'll talk that at the end of this video. First off, Sony has confirmed that they have a showcase happening later this month. Later this month, you will learn more about the long-term vision for Sony Group and the essential role SIE plays in that vision. As I mentioned previously, fiscal year 24 marks the start of the mid-range plan period for Sony Group, in which we will set the course for sustainable growth. Now, this doesn't completely outline that is a showcase, but Aesthetic Gamer, aka Dusk Golem, noted in a response, you're right, but also there is one talking about a showcase. It's basically a case of both are true. In response to somebody suggesting this doesn't confirm a showcase, which yes, this directly doesn't confirm a showcase, but it is seeming very, very likely that a showcase will be happening, and given that the summer period, the early summer period, is generally when a showcase happens, this might be a little bit earlier than usual, but you know what, why not get a little bit of a head start before Summer Game Fest and your typical E3 festivities kick off. We already know there's going to be a plethora of big events next month, given that next month is essentially when E3 would happen. I still think of it as E3 season since, you know, me being in my late 20s, that's what I grew up with as far as back in the day. When you kick off June, that's when you see a lot of big gaming news, and E3 was a big component of it. Obviously, E3 not a thing these days. The publishers kind of do their own thing. Summer Game Fest is a thing. I know Xbox Direct will be happening, so hopefully it's a good event this time around. Honestly, and you guys can say whatever you want if you want to defend PlayStation Showcase from last year. I thought last year's show was absolutely terrible, and I would say most people are of the mindset that at best it was like a C minus type of show. I thought it was a straight F. I thought it was so bad because you had awful CG trailers like the Marathon trailer, as well as the Concord trailer. Then you had games like Phantom Blade Zero being showcased, which that's not coming out till like 2028. Then you had a bunch of third-party stuff, which is fine, but it was too much third-party and not enough first-party. And the big first-party game that you did see was Spider-Man 2, and that was great. Everybody kind of knew that we were going to get it. There was no surprises whatsoever, and I would say it was boring more than anything. I understand why it was so bad, because if you look at it in what has 2024 offered you from a first-party standpoint, nothing. So if they showcased a lot of first-party stuff, alright, yeah, show us Ghost of Tsushima 2. Ghost of Tsushima 2 wouldn't be coming out until 2025, 2026, so I would have complained about that, them showing a bunch of games that aren't ready to come out. It's just an unfortunate casualty of them going so deep into live service games that, ultimately, yeah, 2024 did suffer, but I thought, you know, this year so far, Stellar Blade, Rise of the Ronin, both pretty decent titles. Helldivers 2, I just think the positioning last year of Helldivers 2 was so whack, where they opened the show with Fair Game. Nobody knows what that game is. The trailer was a CG trailer that was fine, but really shouldn't have been given that position of opening a show. If you just restructured it and you put Helldivers 2 in the opening, which I said back in June of last year that Helldivers 2 should have been slotted into that opening slot to really kick off the show and give that game much needed attention, which ultimately that game did fine given word of mouth was so strong. But why not leverage a position where Helldivers 2 could have been promoted even stronger? It's just simple, basic things that I feel like Sony didn't do, even with them having a lackluster catalog of games. The structuring of that show was just so poor, but hopefully they do better this year. Hopefully we see some first-party stuff. Naughty Dog, Bluepoint, Sucker Punch, all studios that hopefully we will see some sort of new announcements. There's rumblings about the Horizon Zero Dawn remaster, so something from Guerrilla. Gravity Rush 2, a PC port, as well as a remaster of that, and, you know, rumblings about God of War Ragnarok potentially getting a PC announcement. That could be happening as well. I know a lot of you guys don't like to see PC get a lot of PlayStation exclusives, but it's an additional revenue stream for Sony, so it's going to continue to happen. And I now think that they do have some stuff up their sleeve for a 2025 release. I don't think Ghost of Tsushima 2 will be next year, but you can reveal it this year, and 2026 doesn't seem that far out. There's Marvel's Venom, there's the Naughty Dog project, There's Death Stranding 2, I get it, that's more of a second-party title, but you get the idea. There just seems to be stuff that Sony has lined up. At least I do think they have lined up for 2025. That'll at least lessen the blow of how bad 2024 was from a first-party standpoint. Again, you have these exclusives and these PlayStation-published titles from second-party, Ronin, Stellar Blade, Helldivers, but first-party stuff was so barren that I do think we're due for a bounce back in 2025. However, as I've said before, it literally doesn't matter because Sony is in a position where they no longer have any competition. Microsoft is self-imploding and they're bringing their games over to PlayStation that at this point, I think PlayStation is in a position they could literally put out one big game every 3 years and they're still fine because that would still be a better rate of putting out big major titles than Microsoft does. And nobody's really gravitating towards Microsoft and Xbox and buying Xboxes in droves. So, like I said, it would be nice for Sony to have a calendar of great games and great first-party output, but at this point, it doesn't even matter. They can fly by the seat of their pants. They could go into full autopilot, and it does not matter. But you would just hope, and I think PlayStation and Sony are very much of the mindset that 2025 and 2026 are going to be big bounce-back years after a lackluster 2023, after a lackluster 2024. At least, again, when we talk about it from a first-party standpoint. Alright, moving on from that, yes, lackluster 23, lackluster 24, no problem, as PlayStation 5 shipments have continued to soar as it has topped 59.3 million units, 20.8 million units sold during the fiscal year ending on March 31st of 2024. Still a wildly successful console. There are 118 million monthly active users on PlayStation Network as of March 31st, which is up 10 million from the 108 million active users during the same period the previous fiscal year. PS5 and PS4 software combined sold 72.6 million units during the 3 months ending March 31st, 24, which is up 4.6 million from the 68 million software sold during the same period the previous fiscal year. 12.3 million units were first-party titles, which is up 2.8 million from the 9.5 million units sold during the same period the previous fiscal year. 77% of software sales were full game software digital downloads, which is up 7% from the same period during the previous fiscal year. 77% of software sales were full game software digital downloads. That is ridiculous. That is a significant portion being full game software digital downloads, and again, being up 7% over the previous fiscal year. That is a staggeringly high number, and a number that I think is going to be glossed over a little bit, but man, just goes to show digital gaming continues to soar and becoming a big fixture here in gaming as a whole. Not ideal for everyone, but definitely something to see more of. Lastly, I do want to note, speaking of which, digital gaming, this is probably going to be a digital-only title. Concord, the PlayStation 5 and PC shooter from the new Sony development studio and Firewalk Studios, is scheduled to be released in 2024, according to a business briefing from Sony directly. While the firm notes that release schedules are always subject to change, Concord was shown in a live service slide alongside Destiny 2 The Final Shape, which is due out June 6th. Again, Concord having one of the worst reveal trailers legitimately of all time for a new IP. I don't even know what the trailer was supposed to suggest. It was an abomination of a trailer. Whoever greenlit it should be ashamed of themselves. Like, how do you promote a game like that? The Fair Game trailer, at least it gave you a little bit. I still thought that was a trash trailer. The Concord trailer was just a literal abomination and pathetic showcase for a game. Why you would want to debut a game like this? Why not just wait until the showcase now to fully reveal the game, have gameplay ready, say that the game is coming out soon? It just would have been way more effective than the awful trailer we got last year, but what can you do? It's not going to be a big deal at the end of the day. If the game is good, hopefully it will resonate. But that is going to do it for me. Again, it is looking more and more likely that a PlayStation showcase will be happening this month. PlayStation 5 shipments nearing 60 million units, a staggeringly high number as we get into the midpoint of the generation, and the live service title from Sony, Concord, is looking to be launching in 2024. That's going to do it for me. Sound off with all of your thoughts in the comments section down below. Thank you for watching, and goodbye. Hey guys, we hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, make sure to hit the subscribe button, and if you're already subscribed, do us a favor and hit the bell icon. This way you'll be notified whenever we post a new video. That's the best way to keep up with all of our uploads, and we usually try to upload 2 videos a day. And with the bell icon hit, you'll be notified whenever we do upload a video. As always, thanks for watching.